when Virgil was dying, Karen came in and she knelt down by him and she said, "Dad, let go." She said, "The pearly gates are opening."
Aww. Do you remember when Mom was born? You were too little?
Now wait a minute. Yes, I do vaguely. It was in Craigville, and when we got Christmas treats. There's a little church there, and we got Christmas treats, and we went and got on the bed and looked, showed them to Mother. She was in bed because your mother was already born.
Mom. What did you think of that little baby? Did you know? Do you remember? You were too little.
I can't remember.
Because you were what? Maybe were you 2 or
2.5 years?
2.5?
2.5 or 2 years and 4 months.
So when you were little, what kind of things did you and Mom play?
Played house.
Played house?
Played house when we lived at Stumps. There was like a closet between 2 rooms, and that was where we made our little doll house.
Did you
played
have play dishes or
just doll babies?
Was that the ones your porcelain-headed doll babies, or did you have other doll babies?
That was the last doll I got,
Oh, okay.
the one that's in Kathy's room.
Did you have a doll bed, or?
Dad made me one.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in here.
Wow.
But I hate to open the closet door.
That's okay.
Because the grandkids took them out and it's a mess. But I said, my dad made me that little doll baby bed.
Did you have play dishes or anything?
I can't remember
I know
any.
you had that little iron.
Yeah.
So you pretend to.
Now I have 2 of them. One was mine and one was your mom's, I guess. No, one was Virgil's.
So when you lived in Craigville, was that on the farm, or no?
No, it was in town.
In town.
It's a little town.
And then you went from there to where?
Well, I think if it was when Christine was born, then we were probably ready to go back to the Jake Swartz farm. Because I wasn't in school yet, and she was younger than me, so I would say she's about 2 maybe. Because it shows there's a picture where we're both standing side by side and our hair is long.
Oh, okay. Did you walk to school when you went to school?
We did some when we were living on the Stump farm, but we didn't always. There was times when we rode, when they would come with a car, people wouldn't take us.
Did you have a lunchbox like Mom did? One of those little...
It's on the shelf out there.
Okay. What kind of stuff did you take in it?
Whatever we had, probably just a jelly bread. I remember sitting and watching a girl by the name of Doris, and I saw her pull that Twinkie out of that wrapper. Oh, I just drooled. I just wanted one so bad. And then your mother's had a tray in it. And she said, "I got to have a piece of pie." That's why the tray was there. She used to tease me.
So normally you just had jelly bread, nothing?
Well, or peanut butter maybe.
Peanut butter?
There wasn't much.
So there wasn't, you didn't have fruit or...
I can't remember that, but...
Did you have milk to drink at school?
Oh, yes. I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
I know that when we went to Brandebury, the government, there used to be fruit brought there and like grapefruit and probably oranges. So I think we would sometimes take some of that home. And I don't really know where it came from, why we got it.
And the school you went to, was it like the one-room schoolhouses or was it a bigger school?
It's torn down now, but it was bigger. We had inside toilets, or restrooms.
Even when you were real little?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
When I was in 1st and 2nd grade.
Wow.
We had inside toilets and we had inside drinking fountains.
Now, when you got older, you and Mom worked somewhere. Where was it you worked? Was it a phone place or
I was telephone operator.
telephone?
Relief girl, yeah. And your mother would go with me sometimes when I'd have to stay all night.
Just so you wouldn't be alone?
Yeah.
How'd you get there?
We just walked. That's when we lived in Monroe.
Oh, okay.
And I was about 16.
And you had to, was it like a switchboard
Yeah.
operator?
Yeah, the light, the big, there was like a big board here, and the lights, whenever somebody wanted to place a call, well, the light would come on, and I would pull that strap out, operator, and then they'd tell what, and so I put it in another thing. And
Were there other jobs you and Mom ever did, or?
yeah, we used to sell some cards, and we both got on the bicycle and would go.
I never knew that.
But it didn't last long, but it was, what we didn't try wasn't worth
Did you do
mentioning.
babysitting?
Probably, but I don't, we
don't
always had,
remember.
on Stump's farm, we were all young, and then we babysat for Joe a lot,
How much younger was he than you?
12 years,
Oh, wow, yeah.
I think.
But he was born in the hospital.
Yeah, Mother said it was the easiest baby she had. We were proud of our little brother.
Did you pick on him, or you just like?
He was
taking
bad
him?
if I had a date or your mom had a date, he'd come and peeking around the, what do you call that, where the division between the room, can't think what that, archway.
Oh, they're in the Monroe
Yeah,
house?
He'd peek around there,
And is that where they were living when he was born?
yeah.
Okay. So how old were you when you moved into that house?
I was in 6th grade,
Oh, okay.
so
Mom would have been in 4th grade.
Dad just did what he could, to make it livable for us.
Did it have a kitchen on it at all when you first lived in it?
I don't think so.
And then when did he add the bathroom?
He built cabinets. That wasn't right away, but I think the bathroom and the little back porch were built at the same time.
Okay. So if there was no kitchen, where did Grandma prepare food and stuff?
You just take a dishpan, soap, and wash your dishes. And
Did she have a stove?
I suppose she probably had that old kerosene stove yet.
I'm trying to envision. Was that whole back, was the kitchen added on, or was that part of the original house?
That was added on.
That
The
was added
kitchen
on.
and the bathroom and the back porch and the bedroom upstairs was all added on. And it was in the paper, Fenton Sprunger building a wing onto his house. He did well. We had it nice.
What, was it wood floors when you were little? So that when did they get carpet then? After you left home, maybe?
But
or-
see, when Denny and Becky, when they pulled that carpet up, they found that pretty hardwood floor.
Mhm. Do you
So
remember? Do you remember when you first got like a radio or the first phone or anything? Did you always have a radio in the house when you were younger, or?
I can't remember when we were at Swartz or Wilkes Farm. I can't remember any. But I would have been in school, and your mother too, I guess. We had to use the neighbor lady's telephone. Mother would go across the road and use can't remember their name, but used her phone.
Was that during the war or before the war?
It was before,
Before.
because Virgil and Don were both drafted. Well, Clarence was too, but it was the Korean.
That was the next war. But you remember when you got your first telephone?
Yeah,
Was it-
probably soon after we lived there. I think they had the phone put in probably before Dad built the extension onto the house.
Oh, okay.
And Dad would say, I can always tell who's on the phone with Mother. He said, when he's on the phone with, she's on the phone with Aunt Sarah, she's talking Swiss. And when she's on the phone with somebody else from church, it's Donna Bailey.
Did you talk Swiss when you were little?
No.
No? The Virg said
Virgin, well, he
Virgin
did,
Don did.
until he what?
Virgin Don both
They
spoke.
did?
That's what Virg said, that Don spoke Swiss. He said your mom and dad spoke Swiss at home.
Boy, I never knew. I thought it was just Virgil and he spoke Swiss till he went to school.
Yeah. So you don't know anything in Swiss?
Du nicht mich ganz vergessen.
What's that?
Don't forget me altogether.
Well, I'm not gonna do that.
Are you finding anything,
I-
James?
Say that again. I'd like to hear that again.
He wants you to say it again.
Du nicht mich ganz vergessen.
That sounds like you have gas.
Well, I probably do, but I don't right
Do you
now. I
remember
don't.
when Grandma was in the nursing home and she had that roommate?
Oh, yes.
What did she used to say in Swiss?
I want to say it like it was. She complained to us and she said, all I see is that blut de fiddler. In other words,
Bare bottom.
bare bottom. Blut de fiddler. Oh, that she'd sit in that kind of a gold-colored chair, and this, I think this lady's name was Doris. And I don't know how many times a day she'd change her clothes. And Mother just sat there all day, and she got a little tired of seeing other people's iron dance.
I'm going to go back a little bit,
All
back
right.
to when you were little. Can you tell me about the first Christmas you can remember when you were little? What was Christmas like?
Well, probably Virgil mentioned this same Christmas.
I don't
But
know that he mentioned
This
it.
is when we lived on the stump farm,
Uh-huh.
and Mother and Dad had what they call a, what's that called? Library table. It had some drawers. It was, you could sit up under it, bring a chair. But anyway, on Christmas morning, we came, now here were 4 bowls of candy, hard candy.
Uh-huh.
And in that hard candy was a little bottle of perfume for me. I still have it.
Oh, wow.
And Kathy treasures that. And the boys, I think, just had like either a little knife. I would say it was probably a little knife. And there might have been an orange on top.
Did you have other gifts to open, or that was all you got?
Well, I remember one year, your mom and I asked Grandma, where's our good dollies? I can't imagine our good dolly was really good,
Mhm.
but, and she said, you just play with your old dolly now. She was making new doll clothes for her. That was for Christmas.
You don't remember what she made?
Probably just old dresses, but I don't.
Did she make special foods at Christmas? Or was it just regular food
It just, we were lucky
to have food?
to have food, really.
You told me once you didn't get meat very often, so what did you eat most of the time?
Well, we almost always had a cow, a Jersey cow.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we lived on the Schwartz, so what was the other one?
You said the stump farm. Did you have one in
Nice.
Monroe? You didn't have a cow in Monroe, though.
Schwartz and, I can't think it's this other place, but we had a cow there and a large truck patch. Now that's when, like when I was in first grade.
What's a truck patch?
They put out green beans, tomatoes, you know, and that Dad would sell them and take them into Fort Wayne on Saturday and
The
sell them.
vegetables?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I never knew that.
And they call it a truck patch.
How did he get them there? Did he have a,
He took the car, and he'd come home with $8, and that was what we lived on for the week.
wow.
That was on, why can't I think of that?
You said it's not the stump farm? No?
Stump Farm is where Mother made the doll clothes.
Oh, okay.
It's right down the road from the Schwartz farm, but anyway, we were just fortunate to even have anything.
So what kind of food would Grandma, it was just vegetables? You only had vegetables for dinner?
Well, potatoes and with the cow, she could make our own butter and,
Did you ever make butter?
No.
No. So did she make rusty?
probably, I don't
You don't
remember,
remember?
but probably,
Potato soup?
probably.
Did you have chickens?
I'm not sure if that was the farm where we had one and she laid an egg every other day.
That's all. I don't think you ate many eggs if she only
No,
laid an
but,
egg every
but
other
she
day.
could cook then with it, you know.
Oh, okay.
make something. And she would, there when we lived on the, this one farm beyond Schwartz farm, she made Dutch cake, and Dad would take that in when he'd go into Fort Wayne to the rich people. We'd have Dutch cake and produce.
So if she did buy meat, where would she get it from?
Well, I think they went to Craigville, some.
Like
There was a
butchers?
store, yeah.
Okay. Now, I had the little milk pail that you and Mom used to go get milk in. Where did you walk to go get that?
That was winter eggs in Monroe. It's not as old as some of it.
Okay.
And you'd go, they had several cows, and you'd go and get your jug at night. It'd be on a little shelf, and other people in Monroe would buy milk from too. Nice people.
How did you keep it cold?
They had when Joe was born, they bought a refrigerator.
Do you remember what it was like?
Very simple.
Was it a wood one or was it
No,
metal?
it was metal. They had it for years.
Was it a big, like a full-size
Yeah,
refrigerator?
it fit there in the corner, right, you know.
Where the other one is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you about finished?
No. Now I want to hear two more things. I want you to tell me some memories you have of your grandparents. Tell me about your grandma Rosina.
Okay, she was the sweetest grandma you could possibly have. I don't remember her ever scolding us or complaining. She was just a lovely grandma.
Do you remember her holding you on your lap or anything when you were little, or?
I don't no, but she always had, she had this buffet, big old-fashioned
Uh-huh.
buffet, and here at the end she would have a little bowl, a little candy in there, you know.
Ooh.
We played in her beds, and with the other cousins, your mom and
Uh-huh.
Jane and Nancy, and she never scolded us. I wouldn't let my kids play in the bed like that. We'd probably crawl in with our shoes on.
Now, Mom said something about her making grape juice and pies or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
And that they'd all be gone, what?
Oh, well, yeah, I've lost my spot in life here. Yeah, she'd make pies, and she had like a pie safe. It's an antique thing called a pie safe, and the leftover pie from dinner would be down there. And some of the men would come from the outside stairway down and eat pie, and when they go down, there'll be another uncle down there eating. And
So there was no leftover when she wanted to pull it out? huh?
but Don said he can remember when she made, I don't know how many trips to the basement to get another quart of peaches. You know, you can't get too many peaches in a quart,
Yeah.
but she didn't mind. We'd eat them, down she'd go and get some more.
Okay.
She had a sense of humor.
Did she?
Yeah. She was a pretty lady. I believe she was a good Christian.
Okay, what about your Grandpa Silas?
I don't know much about him other than he had some cows and he would milk them, and or he'd go to the woods down the road, along the road to woods, and walk them back to milk and back to the woods again for the night. And he worked in his clock shop. That's where he made the antique clock.
Oh, okay. Did you ever go spend the night at their house?
Yes.
Just you and Mom sometimes, or?
I don't remember your mother being there, but I remember the night that their barn caught on fire. The neighbor girl called me. That's when Clarence was in service. And I answered the phone, and she said, your grandpa's barn is on fire. And his car was in the barn, too. So I went, and it was most of it gone. I stayed the night downstairs in the bedroom. That's a little creepy, I'll tell you. They were upstairs. I can remember we picked strawberries, and he had a Model A at that time. We picked strawberries, and I think his sister was there. And we all, your mom and mother, and we all bundled her. I don't know how we ever got in that and shut the door. But I can still hear, with the big dishpan of peaches, or of strawberries, I can still hear Grandma laughing. She just, you know, here's Grandpa, he was always kind of big, but he managed to get in, and yeah, I'd love to hear that laugh.
And that's your Grandma Rosanna. Well, what about your Grandpa Jacob Felber?
I wish I knew more. He just,
Yeah.
I can see him when we'd go there, he'd be in his chair. And he had a motor scooter, and he would come from Bluffton.
Huh.
It had a big box on the front, Cushman, I think, and I don't think he ever drove a car. If he did, I don't remember.
Was Miriam like a grandma to you, or not really?
I don't. Aunt Elma made over us more.
Oh, okay.
She'd always have something to show us.
She lived with him?
Yeah. See, that was Grandpa Sprunger's sister.
Yeah.
There's nothing kinky about it, but it sounds.
Now, I want to know when you first remember asking Jesus into your heart, and what you remember about learning about God as a child.
I might have asked earlier in life, but I was saved when I was 14. And I can still see my pastor come from the pulpit. And he came back to where we were standing, and he just, invited me to go forward. Probably my favorite pastor. And we always went to church. And I can remember that they would get the Bible story book. I don't know who has that, but Dad would sit on a little step and read to us, or make up stories.
Grandpa made up
Oh,
stories?
he made up. He could tell the most fun stories.
I didn't know that.
And now it's kind of been carried on from other, like I think maybe Joe did some of it.
What kind of stories would he make up?
He just make up like all the men got together and they decided they were going to take a big long trip. So they started out with their motorcycles and they went so far, and pretty soon they had to get some elephants and ride those across. And just, I mean, tell you were interested. Nobody could tell it like Dad did.
I did not know that. I don't remember him doing that with the grandkids.
Well, but I can't remember who, somebody else said I tried, but I couldn't tell a story like he did.
My mom used to tell the kids stories about Peg Leg.
Yeah.
My kids still remember the stories about Peg Leg.
Yeah, we had to, and Grandma would let him in the house. And he'd have a little satchel with safety pins or maybe some pencils or something that he would sell.
So Peg Leg was real?
Yes,
Why was he called Peg Leg?
because he had an artificial leg.
Was it?
Wood.
It was wood. Oh, okay. And is that the one that they'd let him stay out in the barn, or? no?
Well, I think they let others out there too, but they kind of wondered sometimes if maybe there wasn't one smoking up there that caught the barn on fire.
Oh.
I don't know. That barn had a little door to go out, in or out, about halfway in the center. And we used to play out there a lot, but then you'd see the bedding that Grandma would have for him. I don't think I'm making any sense.
Yeah, you are. So do you have what's your favorite memory of you and Mom when you were little girls? If you could just think of one thing, something.
Well, I have a lot of them, but this one, we didn't have heat upstairs, always, and we slept together. I'm losing my train of thought, just a minute.
You're talking about a memory of Mom.
Yeah. Oh, then Mother would warm a blanket on the stove,
Mm-hmm.
and she'd say, "Okay, girls, upstairs," and we would run ahead of her, and she would throw that big comfort over us, and then we'd say, "Now, we want a foot thing," and so we'd raise our feet up like this, and she'd tuck it under. Special, special mother.
Do you have any other special memories of your mom even, or?
The other night or the day before she had surgery, she leaned there on the stove in the dining room and she said, I would just like to stay home.
When was that?
She had a hysterectomy, or had a
okay.
tumor.
Okay.
Not a hysterectomy, but a tumor.
And she wanted to stay home. She didn't want to go have it done? What kind of relationship do you remember seeing between your mom and dad? Was Grandpa real affectionate with her?
Oh, yeah.
So he
Oh,
was
yeah.
He was smooching with her in front of you?
Well,
Give her hugs, or did he
I
tell
don't-
her he loved her, or?
oh, I'm sure he did. So you want to know about our weddings?
I wanna know
Your
about
mother's and
weddings.
mine.
Uh-huh. Did you help Mom plan her wedding?
Probably,
I know she wore your dress.
yeah. And it had to be altered a little bit because her arms were longer than mine, and let's see what else.
But do you remember when you found out when
I
she
don't-
was gonna marry Dad?
Well, I wasn't sure. I remember the first time she brought him to the home in Monroe, and I was going uptown for something, and this Hudson, I think it was, didn't Hudson make cars?
Uh-huh.
Came around the corner from Ohio. It was your dad, and then I think he spent the night sleeping in the living room. Of course, you knowing me, I had to give him a little bit of a rough time. Oh, I don't know
Were
what
you
I
married
told him.
yet?
Yeah, I think I was.
You were,
I think
you were
we were.
newlywed, probably.
Probably Clarence was in service.
Oh, okay.
Because 6 months after we were married, why, he
okay.
was drafted. And your dad drove a Studebaker. And I have a picture someplace of where Clarence is on his hands and knees underneath, and they blocked it up so that when Larry wanted to leave, he couldn't, it wouldn't go.
Oh, no.
That was at the church after the wedding.
He and Clarence got along real well, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. We did a lot of fun things together. Your dad was always generous with me. And just, they'd take us on trips, and I didn't have to worry about the bill. It was always paid.
So, the day of your, let's start with your wedding. The day of your wedding, did you get dressed at home before you headed to the church?
I got dressed in the parsonage.
In the parsonage?
I bathed and everything at home, and then
Went to the parsonage?
went to the parsonage. And we came down the road, the tile, Mill Road, and Grandpa held up my train, and Bertha sang it at her
Oh,
wedding.
okay.
I think.
Bertha
Now wait a
sang
minute.
at your
I
wedding?
think she sang at mine. I was thinking, no, there was a man that sang it at your mother's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was Don Daywall.
Yeah,
So was Mom your
my
maid of
only
honor?
attendant.
Your only attendant? What did she wear at your wedding? What color did she wear? I have a picture, but it's black and white, so you can't tell what color it was.
I think it was kind of a teal,
Oh, okay.
kind of a. I think it was. Can't tell you.
Kind of not a green color.
I think that's what it was. And then Betty Miller stood
Yeah,
up with her too.
Oh, okay.
And she had, let's see, what was her color?
Kind of a yellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I think I had the blue or the kind of the green, and then
So-
hers was more,
Did you get married 2 years apart, or what year did you get married?
51.
Okay, they got married in 53, so yeah, 2 years apart. Did you have a reception? Did you have cake
Out in the yard.
at Grandma and Grandpa's, just like Mom did?
Mhm.
Now the
Yeah.
day of Mom's wedding, same thing. Did she get ready at the parsonage too, and then go to the church? You got married in the same church,
Mhm.
both of you down out at the little country
Out
church
the valley.
Valley. Did the same pastor marry?
No, no.
It was a different pastor.
Let's see who. I think your dad's dad married.
Oh, did Grandpa?
I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm not positive, but I
No,
was sure.
you're right. You're right. I know he did because I have a copy of their wedding vows. So you're right. He did. And you were mom's attendant in
Yeah.
her wedding.
And we, for my wedding, I don't remember about your mother's cake, if they had a cake,
Yeah, they did. Mom said she got hers from the grocery store.
okay? But she helped me go in Don's little one-seated Ford, let's see, I think, was that a 38 Ford
Uh-huh.
coupe? And we went in to Bern and got this cake that Mrs., I can't think of her last name, beautiful cake. We
That was for your
held
wedding.
it on or Kathy, Christine, your mom held it on
On her lap?
her lap while I drove.
Oh. What'd you do? Then just put it in the kitchen at
Yeah.
Grandma's and...
And my grandma and grandpa were there. Got a nice picture of them on that picture.
But you don't remember Mom coming home from college and telling you,
I
met this guy.
Yeah, she did once when I don't know if she was in Baker House or in the Annex.
Uh-huh.
I think maybe it was the Annex. That was where she lived.
Yeah.
And she started telling me about this guy that she met. But then he went back to Michigan and she didn't know. And then she said, here comes Larry walking past. She said, oh, he came back. Now, I don't think I was there when he walked by, and yet I'm not sure. It might. But anyway, they continued dating. And then somebody said that she broke up with him for a little bit because she wanted to date somebody else, and it wasn't long he was dating your dad again.
Dad never dated anybody but Mom.
I know.
Now,
That surprises me.
yeah. Now I'm going to fast forward to
All right.
1956. And you and Clarence came down to visit Mom and Dad in Memphis. Is that true? When Mom was pregnant with me. Didn't you and Clarence come down to visit Mom and Dad in Memphis? Or was that in Maryland?
Where did we stay?
With them.
I remember coming down when your dad was
He was in the Navy.
in the Navy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but this was, and you'd hear planes all day and night.
And Mom was pregnant with me. Is that
No,
when
you were born already.
But didn't you come see her before and you told her you thought you were pregnant too? With
Oh,
Terry?
that was in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, we got in late, Clarence and I, and tired. Oh, I was so tired. And I walked down the hall, it was upstairs,
Uh-huh.
second floor, and there was like a store down below. And I walked down the hall and I would say, Christine, Christine. And pretty soon the door opened and this lady said, you want Christine? I said, yeah. She said, right down there. About that time your mom was up, and she said, you can stay with me if you want to. Your dad wasn't there that night.
Uh-huh.
You can stay with me, but she said, I got this sickness. And
So you didn't know she was pregnant?
and she said she was vomiting day and night, you know.
Did she tell you she was pregnant?
Yeah, yeah.
She just
And
said
then-
that I'm pregnant?
And then
or-
she said, and I said, well, I haven't been feeling good. And she said, well, maybe you are. And I said, no, I don't think so.
How long before you let her know after you got home that you
Oh,
were...
probably not very long.
Did you call her or write her a letter? Back
I
then?
probably wrote her a letter.
Wrote her.
Yeah. Yeah, but she, that was funny how that. It's the same sickness, only I didn't get as sick as your mother did.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a special lady. Not a special woman, a special lady.
And there's a difference.
It sure is.
When you and Mom would lay in bed, when you slept in the same bed and you were little,
Oh.
did you ever get giggling and did
Yes,
you talk way into the
yes,
night?
we used to tickle each other, you know, and what do I want to say? I told something that I was guilty of. I said, you know, when I took my turn to tickle you, I said, I counted fast. And she said, that's why it got over so soon. It seemed like you were always finished with me.
So that's where I he tickles me and I could let him tickle me
I
all
know.
night long.
And we just, it's just one of them things that we did, that, and you just kind of relax. And she said, and I think she just got up and went and told somebody. This was years later. She said, you know what she did? She always counted faster.
Was Mom in college when you got married?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. She worked
Or had she not worked?
She
much
worked
yet?
in Fort Wayne, and she rode with Virgil a while. Because he was working in Fort Wayne on a job, and let me think.
I think that's when she would say he would stop and get a root beer or something.
Yeah.
On the way home.
She enjoyed those times of the driving back and forth together. But
where did she work in Fort Wayne? Do you remember what she did? Was that at the newspaper or was that another time?
the newspaper was in Marion,
In Marion, okay.
I think. This was, I want to say Grand Leader, and that's not right, I don't think.
Did you work before you got married?
Yeah, at the grocery. Worked there 3 years.
Now, where did you meet Uncle Clarence?
Neighbors, good neighbors or good friend of Clarence, lived right the next road south, or southwest. And this fellow's mother said, why don't you get a date? Why don't you get Clarence to go with Rosie? She's a nice girl and Clarence is a nice guy. And she had kind of a voice like I...
Uh-huh.
And so it was like almost like a blind date. But then I dated him.
Where'd you go on
him
your
then.
first date?
I think to church, but I'm not positive. Some evening. He was, because I think he came with a suit on.
Oh, okay.
But I can't tell you for sure.
Because you didn't go to movies or anything. I was going to say, what did you do?
We went
to do on dates back then.
We went to, I think it was Hall's Drive-In in those days, and you could get these soft milkshakes,
Oh, okay.
and sometimes we would go after church on Sunday night and go drive to Fort Wayne. That's when the gas wasn't so cheap or expensive.
Yeah.
I wish I knew better how exact, but I'm being as honest as I can.
That's okay.
You didn't even have to have a driver's license back then, did you?
No. Hey, I need to tell that ornery thing I did.
What did
When
you
I
do?
was working at Dunbar, there was a guy there that said, he told one of the other guys, I had a date with her. He said, she had this 37 Ford, and I wanted a date with her, and she said, you gotta catch me first. And they said, he told this guy, she drove down this gravel road doing 80. Well, I remember the man, but I don't remember going down the gravel road. But
Now, when Uncle Clarence proposed to you, do you remember?
by the front door, he got down and he says, let's get married.
At Grandma and Grandpa's
Yeah.
house?
In Monroe.
Oh.
I think he got down.
Did
If he
he ask-
didn't, then he stood
Did
and
he ask
whispered.
Grandpa first?
Oh, no.
No?
They liked him from the very start.
So that,
Of course, he came from a good home.
Yeah. So then did you go in, were your parents still awake? Did you go in and tell them, or did you tell your mom the next
I
morning?
probably told him that night. I don't know.
How much later till you got married then?
See, I wish some of this stuff I had down, but I don't know.
But then no sooner did you get married, he got drafted, so you lived with his parents for
Yeah.
a little while.
Well, I came to Monroe, lived in Monroe.
Then you moved home with your folks.
Yeah. Well, it just, not that they weren't nice people, they were, but I just felt more comfortable
Yeah.
in Monroe with my folks, and,
Did that feel weird moving home with your folks while you were married?
yeah. Yeah. Your mother, I need to tell you this too. When Clarence died, the next day after the funeral, that morning, she came and we met at the graveyard, or went to the graveyard. And she stepped over and picked up a beautiful lily and handed it to me. And she left a boot imprint on the, because there was some snow.
Mm-hmm.
We had snow. It seemed like she just knew when to help you or when to pray.